Session 20.
Hi.
Hello! And welcome to Adventures in Aanthara. We're back for the 20th time because it is session 20. So exciting. And our party is level 5, which is also exciting. Yeah. And they have accomplished a goal they've been seeking to accomplish for quite some time. So, brief summary of what has happened. They entered the wetlands. They found a number of clues and interesting discoveries, made their way to Raygrove, found some allies there, and then struck out deeper into the wetlands, trying to find a blightling to bring back and potentially signs of the source of what the hell all is going on in this area, which they largely succeeded in. The first part they definitely succeeded in because they currently have, well, technically they don't know. They have a bag with something in it that, to their knowledge, hasn't moved for a long time. TBD what's going on in there. We'll see if they figure that out early in this session. But they had put a blightling in there with a circlet on that they don't know whether or not it was going to work. And they found additional clues as to some greater distant situation due to a number of carvings in a cave that similarly matched carvings they had found prior. Kind of, a little bit. And then, with, by the way, their ally, Solomon Wongo, the Underbranch Company, they began making their way back towards Raygrove, encountered a number of nasty things, which they slaughtered, and finally, after quite a bit of mud, muck, blood, they made their way back to the city of Raygrove, or to the fringes of it at least, and that is where we pick up.
We actually did a lot last week.
We did so much.
That's what I've been saying.
Episode? Is that what all
We
this
did
was?
so much shit.
I think that was just
like
Most
tallying
of that
the
was
things.
last episode, yeah.
yeah.
Many much.
So,
That's a lot.
Shopping episode?
as
Oh.
the as the lights, the familiar lights of Raygrove come into view, Solomon leading you guys, and Eclipse, I believe, carrying the bag still.
Yes.
Okay. I think we all gather in the company headquarters. I'm gonna go get one of the seed keepers who been looking into this kind of stuff. Have her take a look. Start from there, and then find a place to keep it. That's good with you all.
You want us to stay out of the city until then, right?
Probably for the best, until we get her go ahead. I don't know where she's going to recommend me to, but for now, if you want to stay here, we'll meet you back here.
I think your raid lappers might be a little hungry as well.
True.
I would also like to point out to everybody in the group, haven't actually opened the bag yet, right? We haven't actually checked on this thing. So maybe, right now that we're kind of in the presence of a city with an organization of people that could probably help us deal with the problem should it become a problem, maybe now's the time to see if everything's
I opened the bag.
Okay.
Okay. You open the bag and look inside, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. You see the blightling still there, and the circlet, which when you initially put it on the blightling, after you had knocked it out, you noticed the very, very slow pulse that it had when it was not on a creature. It very quickly sped up to like a, I think we determined it was about a little over 100 beats per minute per Megan's assessment. You notice it now is once again at a very, very slow pace. And if you watch it for a few seconds, the blightling, you can see its chest rising and falling at exactly that pace.
Okay.
Long day.
It worked, guys. Our
It bloody
plan
worked.
worked.
Can I druid craft a flower next to the sleeping form of it to see if it's?
Just leave it in there.
Well, let's just see how fast it decays.
Yeah.
Oh, like in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the first one we did was
Um,
almost knocked out specifically, right? I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
And it
unconscious
was very
from getting
slow,
choked out.
but it was still happening.
Mhm.
Correct. You are you doing this as Solomon leaves, or you want
Yeah,
to keep him
I'll say
here?
we confirm it before he
Okay.
leaves, so we have it, and then once
Okay.
he heads out, we'll start
right.
experimenting.
You create the flower, watch it for 10, 20, 30 seconds. You don't see anything.
It took like 2 minutes last time for it to start decaying.
Mhm.
Okay.
After
So-
about 30 seconds, Solomon, I'm going to head in and be
Okay.
back, if that works with y'all.
Of course.
We'll be here.
All right. Okay. He leaves, heads deeper in the city. You want to keep holding the flower there for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything else while you guys wait?
So what do
Just
we
watching
do
him.
when we drop this thing off? What's the plan?
I mean, we're gonna go deal with the source of the problem as initially planned, right?
That's what I thought.
This was sort of a
Maybe.
side quest, but like this is, I mean, the main thing that we're trying to do is eliminate the source, right?
If this
As long-
Magilla,
Yeah.
if Magilla or the lovely lady, whatever she is, if she's out there, I can't walk away from that.
Based off the assumption that this is the being behind everything that's going on. Of course, it's a fairly safe assumption, but it's an assumption nonetheless.
I take the chance.
Yeah.
We just want
I
to be
mean-
sure that we know where we're going, because we've been flipping a bit, all in the same realm, but it's been different each time almost.
Hmm.
Is there anything we need while we're here?
I just want to make sure that thing's not going to wake up and cause chaos.
I
Or
don't
That's
kill
a good
anything.
call. Yeah.
Specifically their food
Diamonds?
supply.
This is Leah.
Technically,
not
technically, you
leveled up
guys
yet.
aren't level 5 yet. You're correct.
Yeah.
We're still on
Um,
the floor.
Oh, balls.
But above table, certainly,
Yeah.
you might need a diamond.
I mean, we probably would need one regardless in preparation. So
It is Friday the
That's true.
13th, you guys.
That is also
Mhm.
true.
Given our track
Busy.
record, I think it may be wise to seek out some healing potions, maybe. You
We
know?
asked them last
Mm.
time, they didn't have any.
They
They
didn't
didn't
have
have any, that's right.
They did not have any last time.
Can I check the... I have some, like, meat snacks that I think we got from Frida. Are
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
spoiled?
How close have you been walking to Eclipse for this travel, would you say?
I probably wouldn't
Most
have
of
been
the
very
time.
close to her through the travel, but I would imagine... Because they were right
We
on
did
me in the
fight
fight.
them. Yeah.
That's true. And you also, yeah.
I'm basically wondering, does the blight effect also extend to meat rations? And any rations? Like, I go through my rations just in preparation, thinking, are we going to run out of food while we're going?
So
I
the
think it hit
dried,
the strawberries.
you had like jerky, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
There, it doesn't seem to be affected.
Okay.
Having
Right,
said
then we might
that,
need an alternative for you, if you're looking for a food source. As she looks at her dice.
Solomon, yeah, true.
She's just
Solomon had given
Yo, I'm
Brightwing
looking at
some
spell components. Sorry.
mushroom jerky at one point
Oh,
that
yeah.
potentially could work. If you don't exactly know why the jerky's not run, so
Mhm.
I guess you might have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I will say, as an addendum to all of that, for those of you who would have had any like fresh fruits or vegetables on you, which is probably not anyone because you're eating traveling food, those things would have rotted. But I imagine it's mostly like, dry rations. And
Would
things.
Brightwing's tea supply have been damaged?
No, those are all dried out.
Got
Dried
it.
out leaves.
That's dangerous. Don't mess with the tea.
Dangerous. Get
I
your
just wanted
hands
to check.
away from me, bathroom.
Okay.
We need to figure out what is and isn't affected.
Yeah.
So if the tea is not, that's also important to know. Wait a second.
Is the oil affected?
No.
Okay.
About 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes go by. Brightwing. Towards the end of that time, you do begin to see just the faintest discoloration in the tips of your flower, the petals. Barely. And a lot of people probably couldn't even see it without looking very, very close, but you have a very perceptive eye. It does seem that potentially something will continue, but that it is very, very slowed.
There is a lingering death, but not as fast as it was when it's awake.
Right.
And around that time, you see Captain Wongo, Solomon, come back up, and with him a youngish-looking, maybe late 20s, Raygrove halfling woman, long dress of greens and browns that's kind of cinched above the waist with what seems like corded vines, and then is sort of open in the front, and she has on dark brown pants and boots underneath, completely bald, and she kind of comes up alongside him with a staff. Everyone, this is Sister Kaya. She's one of the sea keepers, kind of been helping out with inspecting whatever the hell's happened and the effects of it, so I figured she'd probably be the best for this. Hello, everybody. It's very nice to meet you. I've heard much about you. Can I see this creature?
Yeah, I'm gonna open the bag, kind of lean down, let her see it.
Okay. Do you know if its effect is continued?
Very slowly. It's not in any way what it is when it's awake and aware, but it can still happen over time. It's just very gradual by comparison.
And this thing on its head, that was you?
Well,
Technically, it's them.
yeah, the last time we ran into these, they had them on some kids that they took. So we figured if we were going to catch one and we could get one that works.
Which the Seakeepers already provided.
Yeah. So.
Apparently you got it to work. Very impressive.
It should.
Yeah.
You won't need to worry about feeding it. It should keep it alive. At least it did with the kids. They were in perfect health when they took it off.
She takes a few seconds to kind of observe. And from what I can see, it seems to be controlling its life somehow. The breath.
Something like that.
Any additional details you can glean from it, we'd be very happy to hear. We don't fully understand how it works, but if it is taken off, it will wake up. That we're certain.
Understood. I would like to try something. We believe the Hodhearth tree has some sort of preventative magic against these things. I would like to try to keep it near the tree. There is danger because that is near the center of the city, but I think it would be best to counteract this creature's powers. And I would want it to be watched. Would you all be able to help with that for at least tonight?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can figure something out with the underbranch for beyond that if you need to leave, but I would like to try that first.
As long as it's not taking that off, because we don't know if it will still work once we do. So
No, if possible, I plan to do whatever I can to study it without ever taking that off.
Perfect. Okay.
Is there any similarities between the Hodhearth tree and the Duskleaf?
There are. You could say the Duskleaf is a very distant niece of the Hodhearth tree, perhaps. It is older than anyone here can remember, and is of great significance to us, to our people, to all of Raygrove. It is sort of a spiritual center point and a magical source for the city and really, I believe, all of the wetlands, we believe. It is also, underneath it is where we bury our dead. It is sacred in that way as well.
As long as you are aware of the possible risk.
Of course. We have a cage we could keep it in, but I believe this thing you have on it will help prevent any danger, and I believe between what it seems you have slowed its effect with, and also the power of the tree, that its corruption will be held at bay. That is my hope. All right. Follow me then. And she heads off towards the center of Raygrove. You all follow?
Mm-hmm.
About halfway, Solomon gonna go give a report. I'll meet up with you guys at some point over there and make sure everything seems secure, but between you all and Kaya, you should have this under control, I think. I'll see you soon. Breaks off. Eventually, you do get towards the center of Raygrove, and probably you had all seen it from a distance, particularly when you went and stayed in that hostel, but you have not seen it up close. And when you do get up near to it, it is a wildly dominating vision of this tree. It is a massive, largely grayish with purple leaves, which does seem familiar to you. And the leaves are a little darker than the purple of the ones you had gotten those saplings off, the duskleaf trees, to the point they're almost black. And the roots are massive and like form waves and inlets, and there are buildings built into the roots underneath, and buildings built around it as well, but not high up it like many of the other trees in Raygrove. But it also dwarfs most of the trees in Raygrove, which is saying something, because most of the trees in Raygrove are like redwood level, more or less. This is like closer to the tree in Avatar size. Massive. And you do see, as she kind of leads you around it, these tunnels and walkways, stairways even built into the roots that go down underneath it, and bits of those lantern lights with the small insect creatures in there that light up the whole area and give this soft orangish glow that mixes with the dark leaves to form a kind of eerie vibe. But she eventually leads you to a small cleared out area that has some stone like seats around it, and a cage that it seems they maybe had prepared, built from sticks, vines, not a super advanced, but seems probably okay to keep a creature of this strength, which is not very great from what you've experienced, from escaping. This will give us a place to keep an eye on it, and it is obviously close. So I think we keep it here, if that is okay with all of you. She opens it and looks at you, Eclipse.
Do you want it out of the bag, I'm guessing?
Yes.
For more direct contact?
I will want to inspect it, so...
Okay. So I'm gonna very carefully take it out of the bag, just kind of reach in and place it, kind of lay it gently into the cage so it doesn't lay weirdly.
It is limp, like a sleeping form, very much like the kids when you found them, and very slowly breathing.
Cool.
In time with the pulse of the slight glow in the temples.
Was there any intent of bringing other seed keepers around for this?
Oh, most likely, yes. I am perhaps what you would call the closest thing to a technological studier among our people. But we will also bring around the wisest of us. And there will be multiple seed keepers that will look at it. Probably also some from the underbranch as well, I would imagine, given the dangers that this thing poses to them and to Raygrove. But for now, if it is all right, will you all, some of you, stay and keep watch throughout the night, at least?
I think that can be arranged, yes.
If you want to take shifts, there is a small hut where you could stay down here. Yes, not far. While the others are watching.
I'll take the first.
Okay. Yasna will take the first. Everyone else goes with Kaya.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
She
stay
leaves you.
I'll stay.
Okay. All right. Brightwing and Yasnip on first watch. Kaya leads the rest of you down a few stairwells around a corner or two. Not far. Probably within distant shouting distance, maybe. And there's kind of a small, like, watchman's hut, sort of, that just very basic, couple cots where people might stay if they're tending to the tree or doing something similar. This should be, I won't say comfortable, but a place for shelter. Thank you all. I believe this will be incredibly helpful. And I hope it will give us some kind of answers.
I think we're all looking for answers. Like why cats run around the room.
Oh, wow.
Meow. Just me. I bolt.
She leaves you all to rest. And the rest of you, go to sleep?
Yeah.
Okay. Brightwing and Yasnip, anything you guys are doing up top?
I want to look at the tree.
Okay. It is beautiful in an eerie, kind of off-putting, but also reassuring way. It's an odd mix of vibes that it gives. It is massive. You sense power, and history, and importance. And it is probably the largest tree you've ever seen.
They said that they bury their dead here.
Mm-hmm. Underneath.
I think Brightwing just probably puts her hand on a side of it, just walks with it, with the bark, just trying to feel the history behind it, how long this tree's been here. And then after a few minutes, I think she'll kneel down and then start druid crafting just a wreath for, like, something you would put on a grave. This is where they bury their dead, just paying respects to people that have passed.
Okay. Roll a wisdom check. Straight wisdom.
We're not in nature, am I? No, that's my perception. That's not wisdom. That's not wisdom.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, I could shift. I have one left. I'm not gonna do it. Ooh, that's really good. Hold on, wisdom. 22.
22. Okay. When you run your hand along it, you feel like almost a vibration. Somewhere, but something between, or maybe both, a vibration and a pulse of, you're not sure if it's actually physical or if it's power that you're feeling, and it sends like this tingle up your arm and across your feathers. They kind of fluff up for a second, and you hear and feel a rush of wind that seems to almost circle the tree and again rustle your feathers. And with a 22, get a sense of personhood or intelligence or spirit. You're not sure if it's from within the tree, if it is the tree, from underneath, from the wind. It's kind of... it's quick and confusing a little bit because it's so foreign and then gone.
I think Brightwing recognizes that this is just life, just a different type of it. And if you're watching her, Yasnif, you will see her just kind of give a respectful bow to the tree and its power, and slowly just nod and go back to watching the Blightling with you.
Okay. Yasnif, anything from you?
He wouldn't have seen any of that.
Okay.
Because he's just kind of sitting, staring down at this creature and pulling out a little bit of the bird seed from his little bag, just kind of like nonchalantly throwing it on the ground nearby. Just contemplating.
Okay. Roll an animal handling check.
He's really contemplating, Matt. That's a 2.
Oh my goodness. You a couple times hear and see like a small dark bird flit by, and at one time kind of flit down, and then as it gets near the cage, immediately turn and flit away. You get the sense that maybe they don't want to come near this thing even at the offer of some tasty seeds. All right. I will not have you roll a perception check for your watch. However, I will ask everyone but Faye briefly to remove their headphones.
I have to remember how to do this.
Keep an eye on me. This is not going to be too long. Faye, you eventually drift off to sleep, and it has happened in the past that you will have had dreams where bits and pieces, almost as an accessory to the dream, like something on the side that you can't even really focus on, but it's there. You will see these eyes. Multiple eyes. Sometimes it seems like a pair of eyes watching. Sometimes it seems like a mixture of eyes looking in every direction. Eyes that are kaleidoscoping in ways that don't make sense. Sometimes they'll appear on structures, in signs, within your dream, in the general scape of wherever you are in a dream. And you'll always notice them in your periphery, but not be able to focus on them. Whenever you try, and you've always tried, you can never quite pin down exactly what you're seeing. tonight there is some time that you spend dreaming relatively normally. But then somewhere in the middle of the night, you suddenly feel yourself. It's like that feeling where you can't move and you're frozen and you just see impossibly far away and then impossibly close that eye from the tree. Dark, filling your vision, and then you feel it behind you and underneath you, and you can't turn and look at it, and you can't follow it. And then it's up in front of your face again, and then it's gone. And then all of the darkness around you is suddenly filled with eyes. Different shapes, different colors, every direction. And again, you can't turn to look, but you feel them all watching you, and there's this weight. And then it all disappears and is back to darkness. And then back to your normal dreams, and you continue sleeping. The rest of you can come back.
Has anything like that happened before?
Nope.
Not that specific. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Bright wait, Leah! Wait, no, Leah might be able to hear, actually. No, she can't. Leah! It's fine.
It's her watch.
She's
it's
also
it's
in
actually
good contemplation.
It's actually especially fine because I only really needed to actually tell you two who came back. This I don't know if she can hear me or not. To take your headphones back off, and Faye to take your headphones off. Aedwin, leave yours on.
Who, me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll call you back in a bit. The rest of you. Aedwin, somewhere deep into your sleep this night, you, in the way that one does, find yourself suddenly walking in the wetlands. Dark, probably dusk or later, alone. Party's not with you. Southward, you believe, because you see the mountains in the distance. Not too far, maybe about as far as you got before with the group. And it is marshy and wet. And you're trudging. And it is difficult and slow. And you're just trudging. You don't know exactly why, you don't know what you're looking for, but you feel yourself continuing to move. And then you feel your movement getting slower and more difficult. And your legs aren't acting right. And you look down and you're ankle shin deep in marsh bog. You step out of it. Try to find a drier path. Keep going. Keep trudging. And then suddenly your foot, the purchase that it should find, isn't there. Maybe it's some wet moss. It slips and you sink down to your knees. And it is dark and murky and wet and is pulling at your legs. I need to make a strength saving throw.
Okay. 22.
22.
Natural
Okay.
19. Yeah.
You pull both your legs back out. Look down. It is darkness and murk and gives you a feeling of dread. But you look for a new path and continue trudging. And you're still moving slowly. And then something lashes out at your ankle, and it trips you, and you fall face first, and you fall into marsh, water, pond, you're not sure. It is pitch black, and you begin to try to look for the way up and out, and you don't see it, and you feel you're twisted, and now you're not sure which way is up, and you begin to feel these dark tendrils of moss or vegetation from the bottom of the pond, or hands, arms, limbs, tentacles, you're not sure what, gripping at your legs, your arms, pulling you downward. And you try to fight it, naturally. But there's too many of them. Dark and dreadful. And you see your arm in front of your face as it's being grabbed by one of these things. And the skin and the flesh is graying more than normal and wilting like you're growing old and weakening, and you feel your strength being sapped out of you. And then you see suddenly a flash somewhere above you of orange red flame, maybe. It's in your peripheral, and you feel something large move through the water above you. What do you do?
I mean, I think I try to reach out for it.
Grab towards it?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll strength. Roll an athletics check, I will say. 6. You reach out and you feel something soft and dense. Feels like a creature, a form. And you try to grasp at it, and it slips through your fingers, and you continue to sink, and the darkness closes in more, and you can't breathe, and you feel your whatever little bit of light remained fading to pinholes as you drift towards unconsciousness. And then you feel a huge from underneath you, like a massive claw, arm, paw, reach from under you and pull you, and you break the water, and you are not in the wetlands. You're in a cavern, rocky, underground, seems deep underground. There is a pool of dark water nearby, dripping. There you hear distant sounds of water moving, and you look down at yourself. You're soaking wet. Your arm looks fine. And then you see this slight glow behind you. You turn, and crouched in front of you, if you can call it crouching given its size, you see a large form, furred, dark gray, with tinges of what almost seem to be feathering to the fur. A large beak, clawed hands and feet, sort of a mane almost, with a head that seems to be owl-like, and the rest of a body that seems to be bear-like, with tinges of orange and red. And it looks at you, turns its head.
I'll turn my head to mock it. Yeah, me too.
Turns its head the other way.
I'm just matching it
Okay.
every step of the way.
It pads about 2 feet forward and then kind of puts itself down, sphinx-like almost, in front of you, and just looks into your eyes, and you see within dark, dark eyes 2 almost like burning coals, tendrils of flame. within its eyes, and you see a glow from within its mouth. And it at you, and as it opens its mouth to speak, within its throat, gullet, you just see flame, red and orange, deep, like looking into a furnace.
You know what that was? That you just pulled me out of, or you just kind of hang out here?
It looks around you at the pond, looks back at you.
Fair enough. I mean, what exactly are you doing here? That seems weird that you're here, right?
It sits back fully, cocks its head again, and like nods its head towards you.
Me? What, what do I have to do with you being here?
It gets up, pads over to you, gets very close, like 7-8 inches from your face, lowers its head down, taps its beak against your chest armor.
I produce a flame.
Okay.
Like this.
It bites at the flame. Nothing happens, obviously, when it bites it. It just goes through the flame. The flame keeps going. Cocks its head.
I just throw it into the cave.
It takes off running. Chases, and then the flame went out when it hit rock, so there's nothing there.
Right.
It looks around, turns back towards you, with as quizzical a look as you can get on an owlbear's face. Pads back up to you.
Sort of. I know. I'll figure out a way to make it a bit more permanent. So you're part of the whole crazy magic nonsense then? Oh.
It lays down right next to you when you say that. Cocks its head the other way.
Give him a little head scritch.
The second you touch him, or her, you're not sure yet.
Yeah.
You feel this. It's like your whole arm is lit on fire. But it's not the pain of fire, it's the heat and the tingle, and it shoots up your arm. And then it shoots back down. And you see the creature's eyes flare. And then you wake up. Next to your friends in the hut in Raygrove.
What time of day is it?
It is the middle of the night.
Shit.
May or may not be close to time for someone else's watch, but you wake up. Everyone else is asleep.
Just kind of get up
Okay.
and I'll. I mean, would I have leveled up at this point? Or is it still not quite that time?
No. You could
Okay.
go back to sleep if you wanted to get a long rest and level up. You haven't technically yet.
Okay. I think I'll probably just stay up for a little bit and think about everything that happened and just try and like process information just to see if I can figure out why or what even.
Okay. Do you think you'll stay up until someone comes in to get someone new for the watch, or just for kind of 10, 15 minutes and then try to go back to sleep?
Probably only about 10-15 minutes.
Okay. All right. Leah's not looking.
I know. Yeah.
Jess is looking? Yes, Jess is looking. Leah, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, can't tell.
Sweet.
Okay. Yasnip and Brightwing,
still
your
muted.
watch finishes.
Shit, you're right. Thank you.
Who's still
Yes.
muted?
I
Okay,
had to
so
server mute.
I'm
Oh.
having
for a bit.
technical difficulties with my mic, so Sean had to mute me during the break.
Okay.
Or during
No
that.
worries.
Sounds better now.
Sounds
Anyway.
different.
That's it?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Try
Try
doing your
typing.
mute for your microphone real quick.
Yeah, it's working.
Don't hear
We're
you.
good.
You
Yeah.
try typing?
We're good now.
Oh yeah, here.
I hear you now.
Cool, cool.
Okay. Brightwing, Yasnip,
Yeah.
your watch
Okay.
finishes.
All right.
Nice.
We gonna get up and start moving to go and get somebody else.
Okay. Brightwing, you go with?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you guys want to wake up?
Do we want to wake up 2 people or 1 person or?
I'm not sure. Seems a bit safer. Probably do with one.
Yes.
Would you like to wake up?
I didn't really go well last time, so I'll let you do it. If you're trying to poke up the fun, but I don't know if that's what you're trying to do.
Shit.
Does create an interesting situation. People are usually at their most susceptible while asleep. Is there anybody around right now?
Besides your group sleeping in the hut?
Yes.
You've probably seen 1 or 2 people walk by in the last hour or so. Not very many. It is towards the middle of the night right now. A little after midnight, 1 a.m. probably.
You kind of see a little bit of reluctance in general with him. His persona is a little bit different, but
Are you okay?
I'm usually very forward with stuff, but I don't know how to approach it with you.
I guess just be forward.
Maybe with a question.
Okay.
Do you think it's entirely possible to trust somebody that never lies?
No. Because someone telling the truth could still do bad things to you.
I guess my entire thing is there are bads on both sides. You know, that has been a thing of suspect. Sometimes it's also intent.
I agree.
And I'm a walking example. And I'm going to mage hand flick Aedwin on the nose.
Okay. Aedwin, you wake up. See a mage hand float in front of your face.
Middle finger.
You know, this is still somehow not the weirdest thing that's happened to me this evening.
I think it's not the weirdest thing that happened to any of us.
You might be right about that, but we will see soon, won't we?
Did something weird happen this evening?
We'll get to it later. I need to go talk to somebody.
Right
Oh.
now?
Yes. I'm at the place that we're keeping watch. I'll find somebody that I speak with, I'm sure. Just gotta...
A random person?
What if the seed keeper people? There's something on my mind. Just gotta talk to somebody a bit more spiritually inclined, I guess. Oh, fuck it.
I'm gonna look at Brightwing a moment.
she's not
Are
gonna like.
you alright?
Me?
I'm like briefly looking at you, looking back to Aedwin.
Probably.
Insight check.
Roll an insight check.
I'll do it too.
Sean, roll a...
How believable was that? Probably.
Yeah.
Roll
With
a
a
persuasion or
4,
deception as
Matt.
you wish. Oh gosh.
A 7.
Oh, the battles of the single digits.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, I get a +8 to insight now. 20.
There's
Technically, you
literally-
don't have that yet.
Oh,
so
that's true.
19.
So it's +7, so 19.
Beat my 11
Sean.
He
deception.
genuinely is super uncertain himself. He does not know. He seems a little confused, and he seems like he's trying to actively process information.
Well, don't run off in the middle of the night.
No worries about that. That's not a problem.
It's on you. Get down in a spot.
Before I get down, I'll just kind of look at Edwin. It's okay not to know right away.
Yeah, it is. But no reason not to try and find the answers.
No? Speak to whoever you wish to. Everyone will have a different perspective.
Okay. Let's go see whether or not everyone's dead.
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Don't worry about it, it's fine. Just walk a little bit faster.
Okay. All right. You head up to the spot where the Blightling is.
Yes.
Okay. And the other two of you go to sleep. Okay. Adrian, are you looking for somebody to try to catch their attention?
I would say probably, yeah.
Okay. I would say about 30, 40 minutes goes by. And you don't see anyone. It is very quiet and very peopleless. And then you see, as slow as a person can walk, and this is also a halfling, so it's even slower, this
Radical.
extremely old-looking Raygrove halfling woman with this huge bush of long white hair, wrinkled and bent over beyond belief. You couldn't even begin to guess an age. And as a halfling being bent over, she's incredibly small, especially compared to you. Dressed in what looks like straight up vines and grasses. Maybe it's a dress made out of them, you're not sure, but it just looks like she's draped in vines and grasses. And has a gnarled wooden staff, and perched on top of it is a white owl. And you see her from a good distance away. It's probably a good 10, 12 minutes before she gets close enough for you to make any comment, because she's walking so slowly. But she kind of walks by under this sort of raised platform where you are.
Excuse me.
The woman does not turn her head. The owl does turn its head directly towards you in the way that owls do, fully sideways.
Sorry to take up any of your time. I'm a little confused about something, and I was wondering if you could provide some insight.
Now the woman does turn her head, looks towards you, up. I don't know how much help I could be, but I'm always willing to answer a question if you have one. And she slowly begins walking up these carved stairs. It takes a good 3 minutes. You have to be extremely patient.
I think I might try and split the distance after some point.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You kind of walk down to meet her.
Yeah, and I'll sort of take a seat on the stairs, I think, to kind of eventually get eye level.
Okay. And once you do and you get close, you see she's looking past you with completely clouded over white eyes. Very clearly blind. But the owl continually watches you, turns its head. What is it that you are wondering about, my child?
Well, you know how some people, they get the magic, they get it from a god. It's divine.
Indeed.
Mine is too, but I don't know from where.
That is a bit odd. Normally when somebody gets magic from divine sources, it's because they worship them. You don't show any dedication towards anybody.
More than certainly no. Definitely not.
That is curious indeed.
But I think something tried to talk to me.
Something from this power?
I think so, but I'm not sure what to do with it.
Did you speak to it?
Well, I tried. It's not really one for talking, more so listening.
A silent type, you say? Well, I have found that when one sense is weakened or gone, the others can become heightened. Perhaps you will not be able to hear the voice, but perhaps if you listen with your heart, then maybe. It is not an easy thing to do, she says, after watching your silent, quizzical expression for a few seconds. And for some, it takes much more practice than for others. But if you can listen with your heart right, be open and insightful, then perhaps you will hear what you want to hear. Or what you need to hear if it's not what you want to hear, which is often the case.
Yeah. Right. Something to think about.
She gets up slowly, reaches out with her hand, looking again away from you, but she reaches out directly towards your cheek. And the owl is looking straight at you, touches it, kind of puts her hand up against it, looking away. I sense that it will not be the easiest for you, but practice makes perfect. And if you know anyone who is good at it, learn from them. And she slowly starts walking down the stairs. Very, very slowly.
The thing that hearing what you want, what you need, really just starts meeting, doesn't it?
Okay. You go back up and sit down for your watch?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
Okay. Can everybody but Brightwing take off your headset, please? All kinds of one-on-ones tonight.
Have all the one-on-ones.
Brightwing,
Yes.
you are sleeping in relative peace. Doesn't take you long. It is much, much more comfortable and nice and home-like here than it was out in the wetlands where you've slept for the past few days. So it is a welcome relief. Sometime in the night you wake up suddenly and you feel this warmth in the air. Not a like muggy hot warmth, a comforting warmth. And there's a smell like sap and fresh spring water. And you get these just memories of home. And you get an urge to walk out and find wherever this is coming from out in wherever in nature you can find it. Everyone else is still asleep. What do you do?
Knowing what happened last time this happened, I think she probably knows Aowen's awake.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna go see if she can find Aowen, just let him know that she'll be right back. But
Okay.
they're also in a town, so it's not as dangerous to wander.
Okay.
But she doesn't want to lose that trust that she's kind of already lost.
Okay. So you walk out up towards where Adrian was?
Yeah.
Okay. Before you even get there, when you step outside, you're not far from it. You feel this slow pulse of warmth and the smell. It seems like it's coming from the tree, which is just maybe a minute's walk up through these kind of curving stairwells.
I'll go towards the tree.
Okay. You walk up towards it. Don't see really much of anyone around. It's, again, the middle of the night. And as you get close to it, that sense of like that buzzing, vibrating pulse of you don't know what, life, power, something, you begin to feel it from 5-10 feet away. And that smell is strong, and you just feel this urge to feel if the warmth is coming from the tree. What do you do?
She's gonna slowly approach. And I would just say probably just close her eyes and gently touch the tree.
Okay. You reach out, you kind of touch it, expecting that vibrating, pulsing something warmth. Instead, you feel a rush of thoughts, emotions, life, energy, It's like you just put your hand into a raging river that is freezing cold and boiling hot and teeming with life all at once. None of it painful, just powerful and overwhelming. And you're struck with a flurry of images. None in your vision, not even in your mind's eye, like you would imagine something or in a dream. It's like they're felt. It's like you're sensing them from within. Deer in a meadow, birds riding on the currents of wind, a seedling falling from a tree tossed across a landscape for who knows how long before finding rich soil, nestling into it, being watered, growing, sprouting, becoming larger, releasing seedlings of its own, and then slowly withering, eventually dying, decaying, fertilizing the soil anew, like you just watched or experienced the whole life cycle of a tree in a moment. And you sense a conduit of some kind of nature, of the wilds. It is the most raw experience of the wilds you've had, certainly since your Koea, and even that experience did not have the force and the rush that you feel through this. And then, suddenly, it all subsides. And there's a few seconds of silence, and then you hear, "What do you seek?"
I think she already knows who this is, so she doesn't even bother to look around. I think she just kind of grips the tree a little more tightly when she answers. I don't know very much. I just want to know why I am who I am.
No one can decide that for you. No one will set that for you. It is your path to pave.
But this path is so different. What would you have given others?
Do you wish it had been something else?
I will not lie to say it would not have been easier. But I am grateful for what you have given me.
The most walked path is usually the easiest. But nothing new can be found without walking an unwalked path. And change comes from those who walk the unwalked path. Are you willing to walk it?
Yes. I've always had faith. You've always been there.
You know of this threat. I have felt it. You have seen it. A harbinger of death and decay, far beyond the natural cycle, tearing into the fabric of life as it should be. Will you stop it?
I will try.
Then I will aid you. You have used the gifts I have given you well. I believe you will continue to use them to bring life to my lands and to those who walk them. And you feel a pulse again, a vibration, energy, and not a burn in your hand, but a tingling that is so strong that it's like there is a vibration of power where your hand is touching the tree, and it grows stronger and stronger until you almost can't stand it, and you eventually pull your hand away. And when you do, you wake up, actually. And it takes you a second to orient yourself. It seems so real, but you're still here in the hut, and you look down, and in your, assume you touch it with your right hand? I guess, whatever hand you touch the tree with.
I was using my left hand.
Okay, because
don't
you
know
hold
why.
your staff in your right hand.
Yeah, that's true.
You
She's
see,
ambidextrous.
you see a small object in your hand. It's shaped sort of like a seed, about the size of a small fruit, like a pear. And it looks like it's made of amber, like a piece of amber formed into the shape of a seed. And inside it, you see glints, small waves and sparkles of silver and purple. A little bit of light.
She'll hold it, and then she'll just kind of speak out loud. I don't know what you see in me, but I will try. I promise I will try. And just kind of holds it to her chest.
Okay. Hold it. Eventually lay back down, still holding it, and then fall back asleep.
The dance move.
Okay. Aedwin, your watch ends.
Taking every single fiber of my being to not wake Yasnip up again, but it's fine. Let's see. What kind of bullshit Colton? That could be fun. Sure. I'll take out my water skin. And I'll walk just above where Faye is sleeping. And just very close to her forehead, so the impact is barely felt. Just a single drop.
You're doing the Chinese water torture?
I'm doing the Chinese water torture, yeah. Just single drops of water on the forehead until she eventually wakes up.
Aedwin
Which you
confirmed
do.
chaotic evil.
Which eventually, Faye, you do. Wake up to feel a wet spot on your forehead and Aedwin above you.
You're still muted.
There he goes. Is there? We're in a tent, right? Or a hut?
No, it's like a small hut. Yeah.
Is there a fire in here?
There is
Are there like
not
candles or
a
anything?
fire in here. There are some of those very there are little windows and there is glow coming through, but there's not candles. No, you're basically in a portion of root that is like formed into a small alcove that it becomes a hut essentially. So there are no candles or flame directly in this tree with you.
Okay, so is this after what we talked about? Like, how long after what we talked about is this?
Yeah, you went back to sleep. This is a little ways further away, and in fact, because you have slept a full night's rest essentially, you are leveled up officially.
I'm about to get 5th level, do you guys? It's gonna be bad.
Sweet.
No, I will just like open my eyes and see his face above me. And based on what you talked about, it's so dark in here, and
Mm-hmm.
all I can really see of him is like his hair and his eyes.
Yep.
So I will sit bolt upright in bed, and I'm gonna cast light on the sheet and throw it at him, and just sit there breathing.
Adrian, you have a basically blinding sheets of light right on your face.
No. Oh, God. Oh,
What?
sorry about that. I didn't think you were having a moment. Oh my good lord. Ah,
I'm sorry.
no. To be fair, it's kind of my, you know.
I'm sorry.
Well, we would have been woken up by that.
If you want to have been, I could say you can be. If you don't want to have been, you don't have to.
Everything okay?
Preacher King,
Yeah, everything's fine.
go back to sleep. You're fine.
She looks at Faye. You're not okay. What happened?
I did a little bit of a thing. Just kind of stalled a little. That's on me.
It's fine. That's normal. We play games. It's
don't
fine.
think it was
I reacted poorly. I'm sorry.
I mean, if I was dropping water on you very slowly in the middle of your sleep, you'd probably react in a bit of a similar way, I would say. So,
Yeah. It's alright. I got it, guys. Go back to sleep. I need to be awake now anyway. And I'll just get up. I'll dismiss the light spell on the sheet, but I'll take it with me and kind of wrap myself in it, or whatever the kind of a blanket there is, and just take it with me and kind of find a perch and.
I think Edwin she'll just kind of like nod at Edwin and then she'll just follow Faye out for just a second, or she goes back to bed.
Okay.
Would you like some tea before I go back to sleep?
That would be really nice.
Get my pocket knife out.
Yeah.
Take out my teapot.
Just so you can use the teapot.
That's where I keep it.
It's wonderful.
And then I'll start to use some tea. I would like first one. I want to apologize. I overreacted in the woods and called you things that I know you've never lied to me. I let my fear be the judgment instead of you be my judgment. And I am sorry.
In my line of work, People either take you too seriously or not seriously enough. I'm just me. You know, I don't go out of my way to make other people uncomfortable, but I have learned, as I've said, that sometimes you just can't tell everyone everything all at once. It's shocking and it's scary. So if we slowly provide information, and it may be that we never get to the full story, but it's just...
That is not why I was upset. It is part of the reason. It's just I saw you turn into a different person when you were speaking to the townfolk quite easily. And it just made me worry that who you were wasn't who you were with us, if you weren't who you were with them. And I know that is rather silly, because again, I know you are you. But
I think it's important to remember intention. My intention there was to make them feel comfortable. I don't think I would have had any more of a difficult time getting that information from them, but I didn't want them to feel grilled. I wanted them to feel like they had a sense of camaraderie with me. And it would come more naturally to them and cause less stress and be less noticed. We didn't know what was going to happen. If I could fly under the radar and gather information, I've had to be very careful with who I speak with this last year. I've been on my own.
we come from there very different worlds, it seems.
I think not
different
every...
perspectives is needed.
Yeah, not everyone is going to take to me the way that they take to you, and vice versa.
There will be times when we are arguing again. It is the nature of all of relationships. But what matters is loyalty to each other. And I promise I will be loyal to you.
I'll just reach out and take your hand. Me too. It's been a long time since I've had people I can trust. It feels good.
I haven't really had people. I've had my parents, but we don't really. We are with our own group after our ceremony, so I only saw them a couple times. Not, you grow up fast in our community.
Seems very lonely.
It's not supposed to be. I'm a bit of an abnormality when it comes to it. But I wasn't alone. I had the wilds.
I have my music. I know what it's like to be in a room full of people and still be by yourself.
I know I said before that we all need connection, but some people choose to be alone. I was one of those people for some time. Sometimes it's easier to be alone than to be around people that don't want you there.
Well, I think we just need to all make a point to tell each other, especially in a group like this, we're just so different. But I think we need to agree, and I don't think it needs to be some kind of pact or anything, but we need to make a point to express our appreciation of each other.
Yes. Very needed. I think difference is good. It's hard to work around, but if we were all the same, then it would not be very interesting.
Yeah.
That's what nature is. There are so many differences in it, but it all works.
I think people are like that too. I mean, in the same way, not just in this group, but it's kind of fun to be the center of attention because you see what people do when they think no one else is paying attention to them. So you, like, yes, you have their attention, but they assume that everyone else is also paying attention to you. So as the actor or the performer, you get to see those subtle looks in the crowd and see kind of what people do when they think no one else is watching them. And that's kind of a lot of fun. And you realize that yes, everyone has similarities, but everyone is different, everyone feels different. And it's a kind of a looking glass, if you will.
I have a different way. I see a lot of things, so I see people when they are... As a healer, you see people on their worst days. So it's interesting to see people at their best and their worst in a very short amount of time.
But they're so grateful. Most of the time.
I fear I've taken too much of your time.
That's okay. I'm just gonna sit here and contemplate my life decisions, and as I look around to like all of the nature that is around me.
Yep.
Yep.
You don't really like it out here, do you?
It's not my thing. I'm happy to experience it with you because you provide a fresh perspective, but it is not my thing. Mm-mm.
Well, you are a musician, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Nature has music. Just need to listen.
I'll try that.
I will leave the pot on so you could have more throughout the night.
Okay.
I will.
Thank you.
Good
Okay.
night.
Good night.
Faye, you head up to the Blightling spot.
Yeah. Is it in a tree? What's happening?
Yeah, so everything is kind of built around the roots of this tree, and
Mhm.
you guys are on like one layer platform, sort of carved into roots themselves, and then
Yeah.
this, where the Blightling is, kind of a few, like a couple minutes walk up around some stairs to another spot.
Yeah.
You head up there.
I'm gonna sit down. Are there people walking around?
Nope, it is. You figure late enough into the night that it's almost morning, but it is not quite morning yet. So you do not see anyone at the moment.
Okay. So I'll just sit and watch until like dawn, like right before I think everyone else will be getting up.
Okay.
And I'm gonna cast Sending.
Oh boy. Okay. Who are you casting Sending to?
My mama.
Okay.
It's okay. You can if you want. Oh, words. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
typed it out. It's good. It's
Okay,
exactly
okay,
25.
okay.
So I typed it up. So
Yeah, still gotta, yep.
yeah, we
Okay.
can still count if we want. So, Mama, it's Faye. Felicity. I'm okay. I'm in Raygrove for now. I'm writing my own story. Did you get my letters? Send my love to Daddy.
Okay. Good 10, 15 seconds go by before you hear. Oh, Felicity, dear, how lovely. What time is it? I do hope you're safe and thriving. Your father and I just bought the most darling little... And it cuts off.
Okay. She'll be fine. I get another one.
Okay.
Burning through third levels, guys. Let's go.
Who needs them?
It's fine. This is gonna go to Dane.
Okay.
Brother, it's Faye. I'm in the backwoods, but I heard about those recent political deaths. Are you safe? Are you allowed to provide more recent information?
Okay. This one comes back more quickly, despite the early hour. Hi, Faye. This is new. Things are tense. We've been on high alert. There's rumor we may be mobilizing soon. Border Watch, allegedly. That's the end of it.
I'll just let no one sees it, but like one little kind of tear out of the corner. I'll just sit there wrapped up in my blanket until people start moving around.
Okay. Eventually, the rest of you wake. Around that time, Faye, you see both Solomon and Sister Kaya show up. The rest of you probably end up in the same place. Everybody gathers. Well, this is good. He's still sleeping. It. Don't really know what to make of that yet.
Yeah, it at least didn't seem to show any signs of consciousness for the 2 days of travel back that we made, so I think we're probably in the clear at this point.
Right. That does seem to be the case. We will keep guard, just in case it is not, but I believe this, and she nods towards its head, will allow us to learn what we can without fear. And she glances around, and in fact has probably done this a bit while waiting for everybody to show up. Faye, you would have seen her kind of check various points of life, mosses and things nearby. Nothing yet. I think it is working. Will you all be staying or going? What is your plan? My understanding is they're headed right back out, unless you guys have changed thought.
I mean, I'm comfortable that that's not doing anything. When it was unconscious before, it was still doing things. I think the circlet's keeping it at bay. So I'm comfortable leaving. But if you can hold on to whatever you learn, and so we can get it when we get back.
We will keep yes, I will keep a record, for sure, and we will share with you whatever we can. And for what it's worth, won't make any final decisions about what we are going to do with this thing until you can weigh in. It is your prerogative as much as it is ours.
If it if it wakes up and if it is dangerous, you have my full permission to take it out. Because I do not want any of you at risk at all with it.
Understood.
I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I know they are terrifying. So I'd rather you
That would have
protect
been my
yourself.
intention, and we'll set up someone from the underbranch here at all times, just in case that eventuality does come about.
Set up 2, just to be safe.
Fair enough. Question for you, Brightwing, briefly.
Oh,
Where,
Sure.
what did you do with the small object?
oh. So, she already has a necklace on that has like a little blue crystal, but I think you would have seen that that has been switched out to now bear it, and she just keeps the blue crystal in her little pocket knife. And
Okay.
honestly, Faye, you might have seen her probably do the switch when she was doing it last night. Just probably switch it out when she was making tea with her pocket knife.
Okay. I don't know if any of you would notice that, given your passive perception. You're welcome to if you wish. But if you do, there is, in place of what she used to have there, what looks like a piece of amber in the shape of a seed, maybe a few inches long, rounded, with, well, you wouldn't see this close yet, so I won't go any further than that. But after kind of getting through the particulars of how this would be handled, Sister Kaya kind of goes around to each of you. Again, I cannot thank you enough for what you have done. I believe this will do great things for our fight, I guess you could call it, against whatever it is happening out there. And if you're going back out there, well, whatever gods you believe in, may they protect you. And, well, you will be protected by other things, I am sure. And she kind of saying this as she walks around. When she gets to you, Brightwing, you hear an intake of breath. And she looks down. You see her looking. Where did that come from, if I might ask?
Oh. It came from the wilds, I believe. We spoke last night.
Where did you speak?
I believe in my dreams, but it was so real that I believe I was at a tree.
That is a hearth seed. It is very, very rare to see one. The tree does not grant it lightly.
What do you mean?
I don't know who you spoke with or how, but it appears that through that conversation it has given you a gift. These seeds, maybe once every few dozen years we will see one. It will be given to some, usually a seed keeper. This is odd and unusual, but
Seed
it
keeper?
is the
Does this
druid,
make her a
yes.
seed keeper?
I don't think that's exactly how it works. I could ask the elders, but
She keeps a seed.
that you are not wrong on. It is... To be honest, we don't fully understand all of the magic behind it, but it is a condensed seed of the magical energy coursing through the tree and through all of nature. It funnels magic. It can. It is like the magical fuel, almost perhaps of the nature of the tree, condensed, solidified. I wish I could tell you more exactly how it works, but
Should I have it? Should you have it?
if you were given it, not only should you have it, but I believe the elders will want to speak to you eventually at some point. I don't want to throw your current mission off, but this is very, very rare, and
You all can see that Brightway is just like completely overwhelmed and like does not like.
Like someone just handed Brightwing One Direction tickets.
Yeah, she's well, like more like she has like a grenade. Like she's like,
Oh.
why do I have this? I shouldn't have this. Like sort of.
Hmm.
If you have any way of, by the way, in identifying what it does, we would love to know. It is mystery. The mystery behind the magic is we never have understood it.
I could ask the wilds, but they are more let nature run its course sort of way. The strongest force of nature, that is. So I don't know.
It is as great a gift as one can be given, as far as we are concerned. So, use it well if the time comes.
For what? I don't know if I would know when to use it.
Well, that would be the goal of trying to identify it more carefully, but to our knowledge, it provides. It is like a heavily filtered down resource for Arcana that can be tapped for power. And Solomon, who's just been listening and watching kind of wide-eyed, sure would be nice if Dr. McAllister was around with his little... Probably identify what it does. Yeah, he's got a little monocle of sorts he uses. We've seen him use it when he comes by.
Is that
Identifies
Mr.
magical
Arthur?
stuff. Yeah, Arthur.
Gotta go see Arthur. This is Leah. We just gotta go see Arthur.
We know why Leah wants to go see Arthur.
I wanted to see Arthur for a long time. Anyway.
If you don't use it till you see him, then by all means.
I don't really want power.
Kaya speaks back up. More often than not, I believe not wanting the power is a good thing, but when you are granted it, I think you must do the best you can to use it right. If you need to tap into it, though, it will be consumed. Just know that.
What if she plants it?
We've never tried that. We have
Never
always...
tried planting a seed?
Well, it's not really a seed. It's not actually a seed of the tree. It's something else. I think it's created from its life essence or something like that.
I will try to use it as best I can, but if you have other ideas for it, I'd be most welcome to hear it.
No,
I don't want to mess it up.
It is your... If you were given it, I believe that you will use it rightly.
ask a favor, though, before we leave?
Whatever I can do, yes.
I'm sure this might have the power for it, but I don't want to make sure that there might be other resources. This danger that we will be facing could be life-ending. And I think the wilds are going to help me to help our friends if they ever get that far. But to do that sort of magic takes more than I could ever provide, and I need some sort of resource to use. Would you have anything like that besides, well, the obvious, I guess?
We have simple components, if that's what you mean. I don't know if you need something specific, but I can tell you, unless you are the greatest arcanist I have ever met, and the power you need far exceeds that we've ever seen used with these before, that seed would likely do it. Not really a seed. Seed.
All right. Thank you.
I hope you will tell us the story if you do use it. It is very rare, and we would want to record it.
I'm not much of a storyteller, but I'm sure Faye would be able to. And she just kind of steps back with the rest of you and just kind of keeps looking at it like, oh, Jesus.
Okay.
I don't suppose you all would consider a trade back.
Of?
Well, circlets returned.
The inert one.
If you don't mind.
I don't. I think we agreed to that in the first place. Anything else you all need before you head back out? I don't imagine it's going to be safe out there based on what we saw.
Can I hug a relapper?
I certainly don't see why not.
Like a reed lapper.
I'll meet you at the pens.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a bit of time to myself here, but I'll come back in probably in, I don't know, half an hour or so.
That's
Ish.
about how long it'll take me, so I guess we all meet there then.
I want to set out today. Or tomorrow.
Do we risk a day? I
It's
mean,
part of the question.
Every day that we wait, this situation could get more out of hand. But it's also just a day.
right.
So, I don't know. It's a weird call to make.
We have to waste a few getting back out there anyway, so.
Leave today then.
If we are good and ready, then yeah.
I have a few things I might want to pick up.
Do you want to come with me? Check out the company's stocks. Don't know what you're looking for exactly.
Couple holsters. Daggers.
Certainly can do that. All right. And you all disperse. I would say that Kaya walks with you guys to the Reed Lappers, chatting with Brightwing in the way that two people of similar backgrounds and interests who might be meeting for the first time might do. And especially when one of them has been granted something that is incredibly rare and special to the other one. And she's very curious about you, and so she asks a lot of questions. You guys walk. Yasnip, you go with Solomon. Pick up. You want a couple sheaths?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is to use the belt around my front, and I'm trying to put a couple of daggers on those.
Yeah, he hooks you up with a couple of sheaths that can be easily strapped to it.
There are like 3 of them.
No problem. Yeah, that's totally doable. And doesn't ask for any money at all. The rest of you make it to the reed lappers eventually. Hug a reed lapper.
I'm separated from the group at this point.
Yeah. And get to see your wee cub, who seems to be
How's he doing?
taken into. He seems to be doing quite well.
Oh, good for him.
Playing around with other young.
No.
Buddy.
Did you?
Where I like lean my
I'm
hands
pretty
over.
sure, right? That's what we agreed on. I'm pretty sure
Agreed
it's
on
in
what?
writing somewhere.
That may be true.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Oh boy, hold on. Let me look. Was it in the chat or was it in our conversation?
It's got to be in the chat.
What
I'm
are you
pretty sure
talking
it's in the
about?
chat.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
completely
Okay.
forgot about that. Okay, so here's what actually
Rewind.
happens. You get to the reed lapper pen, look around, and he's not there anywhere.
What? Where'd he go? Where? Oh, is there an attendant?
If you
Elijah!
Yes, there is Elijah. If Faye screams out, and you see opening a window. What?
Where's Thicket?
The little one y'all brought.
Yes.
The two Genasi took it to Bragdale. Supposedly as a pet. I told them it likely wasn't gonna go well, but the lady one was insistent, to say the least.
It's the perfect home.
Well, we might be able to see him again if we run into them.
I think it's
Oh,
fine.
that was a
He'll
wild
be
echo,
fine.
so I don't know how well it could be domesticated. But I'm sure Flora has her ways.
Adwin, are you doing anything in particular while they reconvene?
Yeah, so I think as this is all happening, I'm probably stepping just outside the outskirts of the city.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sort of look down at my chest again. Kind of feel for something that may not even be there. I'll go ahead and slowly draw my sword, stab it into the ground, and just sit there for a minute. Look at the arm. Take off one of the gauntlets. Just stare at my hand. Put it on the sword and just try and get back to that space again.
Okay. You take a moment and initially see nothing in your mind's eye, and then it solidifies, and you see a face.
The same one.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there. Are you real?
And it hits you, the sound, in a way you weren't expecting from this like imaginary vision, and you feel a hot breath on your face. and you open your eyes. Would you like to describe what is in front of you?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
Then
I'm
we'll
just
go
gonna
back to the
stare
group.
back at
Are
it.
you going
and
back to the
just-
group?
Yeah, so I'll walk back to the group. I'm just gonna stare at it and be like, no fucking way.
Oh, that's right.
And then I'll start walking back to the group at this point.
Okay, and is it coming with you?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Back into the
Over-
city, in
Yeah.
public, in front of
Yeah.
maybe hundreds of citizens.
Yep.
I remember now.
The rest of you,
I do have one thing with Solomon, if
yes.
you could.
Sure.
I'm sorry about your friend.
Well, justice was served best it can be. So that's comforting, I suppose.
What was his name?
Nori.
Alright. I'm gonna take a piece of the map that I've been drawing and rip off a piece of paper, and in the charcoal I'm gonna write his name. He won't be forgotten. I'm gonna uncork the bottle that had the scumble. I'm gonna place it in the bottle and put the stopper back on top. Hand it to him.
Takes it. You see that same sort of... when you saw right after the fight, when he witnessed his former friend, it was a well of tears. Now you just see a glisten. Not quite a well, just a glisten. It was good fighting alongside you all. I hope we can do it again. Well, I hope we don't have to do it again, I suppose, but if we do...
Nightlight.
You let...
Give him a
You guys.
pat on the shoulder and start to walk away.
Okay. All right. You meet back at the pen, and eventually, a few minutes after you get back, you all see Eowyn with a
Yeah.
herring. No.
No. So, I'm walking back to the rest of the group at this point, and I mean, completely silhouetted by this large mass of fur, this just huge frame, this dark gray fur, and you see across the front arms what appears to be some kind of feathering as well, of gray feathers that then proceed to turn orange at the tips. And where you would normally see a bear's face, you instead see that of an owl.
Ah.
As it lumbers behind me as I return to the group.
I'm gonna quickly lean to Faye. Wasn't he the one against pets?
Yep.
Just checking.
You have
Eventually-
an owl bear.
I guess.
He
Look,
looks
I'm
over
not-
his shoulder at you, Brightwing.
Oh, whatty? I'll just throw up my hand for it to smell.
It pads up alongside you, Eowyn, and looks at you.
These are the, this is the gang, you know, become acquainted. They're gonna be walking with us.
What? This. You're
Yeah,
keeping
so-
it?
Yeah, well, so
With.
look, here's... let me get to it, right? Had a dream last night. Met
Which we're
this
about to
gal.
do Las Vegas.
I'm sorry? We'll try that again for everyone. Those of us at the back of the class. Yeah, I just saw this big girl in my dream, right? Seemed to understand the words that I was saying, which was weird already. And then I don't know. I just wanted to see if I could reach out again to try and talk to her, and then she just fucking appeared, like right in front of me. Just boom. Owlbear.
Hmm.
Yep. Just like that.
She's
So-
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not too shabby.
It's a lady bear.
Yeah.
Bear owl?
You can tell by the fringes on the face.
It's true.
She pads over towards you, Brightwing, who's still holding your hand out.
Yeah.
Sniffs it. Kind of the feathers slightly flare.
Show her my feathers.
And yawns. And when she yawns, you see in her gullet what looks like a furnace. Just an inferno of orange and red. And then looks at the rest of you.
We are not sneaking up on anything.
You are extremely correct, but to be fair, with Eclipse and I in any group ever, we weren't going to do that anyway, so fuck it. If you can't beat him, join him, right?
We
Can I pull
really
out a-
just should start using that to our advantage, to be completely honest. But we'll
Does she have
figure
a
it out.
name?
You know, I thought about it. I think we'd call her Lucy. Yeah? Sounds good.
I'm Brightwing, Lucy.
Does an owlbear roar or hoot?
The thumpies. The thumpies.
Okay, let's not spoil her already. She just got here. I don't know. Lucy, do you roar, or do you hoot, or do you do a little bit of both? Like, what's your deal? Do you prefer one or the other? A bit of both, it seems. Column A and column B. We got a little bit of both. Alright.
Can I pull out the flute and do like a tune that mimics her little
Mhm.
whatever she just did? Because it's like that hollow, like haunting bone flute vibe.
Yep. You play it, and she immediately at you.
See, I
Almost too far, like an owl,
Oh.
but not quite. But pretty far. Looks down at you.
Toot. Toot, toot, toot.
Nature does
Looks
have
back at you,
names.
Edwin. Kind of pads a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're a pretty friendly group, all things considered.
Sits down.
There you go.
I'm gonna try and sneak her some tree sap candy.
How big is this thing?
Yeah.
It is pretty large. It is kind of like the size of a decently sized and extra thick horse.
Okay.
Big enough that it seems like Edwin could ride it if he needed to.
Okay.
Maybe 6-7 feet to the shoulder.
It's a
Okay.
huge horse.
Yeah.
5 feet?
That's when it's standing, right? Not when it's like
Like a
sitting up.
Clydesdale. How big is a Clydesdale?
Yeah, that
That's-
sounds about right.
That's 6 and change, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably like maybe a little shorter than a Clydesdale because it's a little wider, but
Mm.
pretty big.
I rolled a 5 on my sleight of hand.
To do what?
I was
Try
trying
and
to sneak
sneak a
Lucy
retreat?
some tree sap candy.
Oh boy. Okay. Interesting. Tree sap candy. She
I'm not
sniffs
interfering. This is just gonna
She-
happen.
She sniffs it.
Don't like it?
Can I pull out some beef jerky?
What are your seeds?
I'll like woohoo with the other. I'll just give it to her. Like give her like a little chin scratch while I do that.
She eats it, swallows it.
She do one of those like things
Yep.
like
Yep. Go back.
Does she
Well-
carry her own food?
Do we need to accommodate?
A large beast.
You know, I think. What? Lucy, do you need food or are you kind of just chilling? Like, what's your.
When he talks, can we understand what he's saying as he's talking to this creature?
Yes. And it also seems to understand what he's saying.
Just him.
No, everybody.
No.
Actually. So, you're good? Is that what I understand? Sweet. No food necessary. It seems like Lucy's gonna be all fine just on her own.
I whisper to Lucy, that means you can still have treats.
I'm
Starts
trying to wrap
licking
my
her
head
shoulder
around
feathers.
that suddenly appeared in front of you. Doesn't need to eat.
Ross,
Firebelly.
Look, I've got a lot that I'm trying to figure out myself. This is a lot all at once.
Does this play into the conversation we had the other night?
What do you mean?
Where you're not sure where all that comes from? Do you feel more enlightened now?
No. I feel just as lost as I did before, except now I've Lucy here. She's just here now.
Well, you have obviously hold someone's favor. I'm scratching Lucy.
Lucy, how do you feel about horses?
Looks at Edwin.
Oh shit. I mean, they're nice. They're not food.
Crater is the
Then-
best horse.
They're nice creatures. They help pull carts. They help us do a lot of things, actually. They are friends. We like them a lot. And maybe one of these days we'll get to meet one or two or several.
Yeah, when we go back via the river.
Alright. may or may not have to find another alternative method of travel, or
Pod's
we,
owl, right? It could fly.
It looks down at its extremely thick, not winged body.
look,
It's okay, I can
the
fly.
owl bears a magnificent creature.
It is larger than the boat.
It is not magnificent in flight.
It's larger than two boats.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm gonna workshop it. All right, I'll figure it out once we get to it. Don't worry. I'll.
Eclipse, I believe that this earns the capability of anywhere that we bring this thing, Crater is also allowed to come.
I mean, if it's safe enough. Crater can't be that. But I agree. Should be fine.
Where are you gonna keep this thing when we go into a city?
I don't know yet. Again, still working on the details. We'll figure it out once we figure it out. I do feel a little bit drained, all things considered. So it seems like that definitely took a little bit of wind out of me to bring Lucy here. But you know, hopefully I don't have to do that super often.
Did she run away, or?
No, she's very obedient. I tried playing fetch with her in the dream. It didn't really work, though.
Does she disappear after a certain point?
No, she's here forever until I tell her not to be, and then she, in theory, will just...
But don't do that.
Of course, I'm not going to do that.
How many people are looking at us right now?
A lot. Like
Um,
little pockets, 4 or 5 little pockets of 4 or 5 people for sure.
Of halflings, which are like a third of the
Yep.
size of this thing.
Yep.
Yes, correct.
Oh.
And made of meat, incidentally.
Just,
Hi.
I
Welcome
mean,
to the team, Lucy. I'll do the same with my staff. I'll make a hoop.
Okay. Everybody's hooting.
Hoot hoot.
It's not gonna eat us while we sleep, is it?
Yeah.
Oh no. Right, Lucy?
Huh?
We're not eating any of these people. Actually, let's go ahead and make it a point. No eating people in general. Don't give me that look, you know.
Are they known to do that?
Owlbears are carnivorous, so I mean they eat meat if they can come across it. At least
Sure,
in my
eat
experience.
metal if it came across it as well. Well, with the fire
Like
and everything.
slipper another piece of jerky.
Yeah, I mean we'll figure that out to get to it. You know, I don't know if you would really like eating metal. That doesn't seem like your, you know, preference.
No.
That's kind of what I thought.
Huh.
So yeah, I guess this is just a thing that's happening. I apologize in advance, I guess.
I mean,
I'm not picking up shit.
Same.
Well, it doesn't have to eat, so I think the natural bodily
I've
functions
seen it
are a
eat at
little
least
bit...
2 things of jerky already.
Slip it another one.
Hey, what the?
And the 2 fingers just suddenly just.
Are we leaving yet?
Thought you said you were sleepy.
Winded, this early in the morning. It's only
8:12.
8:12.
It's not. It's as if I was casting a spell to bring it out. A pretty beefy one at that. So I'm gonna be down a little bit of energy on that front. So just, I guess, kind of keep that in mind. It's not exceptionally detrimental. It's just I'm down 1 extra resource.
But you have that resource.
I do have Lucy here now, though, so it's an equal trade-off. Ain't that right, Lucy? That's the one.
What is my life?
I'm asking myself the same thing.
All
Are we
right.
going to get going?
I think so.
Back into the swamp.
Yeah, let's stop at the
Just
Jack
above the
store on
table,
way
Matt.
out.
They were
Yes.
saying they didn't have any diamonds, and this is supposed to be a diamond.
That is the impression you got, yes.
Okay, great. Before I leave without diamonds, great. Love it. Okay, great.
Is there a like a haberdashery or some kind of like quick food store like a gas station?
There's
Who's like-
7-Eleven nearby.
Yeah, I just gotta grab.
Yes, there is. Yeah, I think maybe someone had gone there before. I can't remember, but there's Marshwalker's Supply.
That
So like a
sounds
general
familiar,
store /
yeah.
trapping place
Okay, I'm gonna walk away from that.
that you've seen.
And I'll walk in there.
Okay. It indeed seems to be basically an REI, a wetlands-focused REI / general store hunter trapper sort of place. You see all kinds of traps, outdoorsing equipment, camping equipment, and it's built into. And you're probably led there by one of the halflings with you, but a tight mass of trees with multiple levels, as you've seen throughout Raygrove, and it's a couple levels up and spans around an entire tree. It's like this ring. And it doesn't take long to find the proprietor, who is a middle-aged Fearbolg man, gray-green fur, thick wavy green hair that's tied up in a man bun. Very tall.
Sorry, what's the name of the store?
The name of the store is Marshwalker's Supply. And eventually he towers up over a shelf. Oh, is there something I can help you with?
Yeah, I was hoping to pick up like And tell me, this may not be possible, but a top or something waterproof that could also perhaps blend in a bit with the marsh?
Lake for shelter.
Yeah, just something to string between a couple of trees.
Oh yeah, we've got all kinds of things that can do that.
Okay, yeah.
Particular color. You're looking for just wetlands camo.
Yeah, just like a camo, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet.
Sure. Anything else you need?
Yeah, like
Well, I'm
Could've
looking.
gone along.
at least 5 gold worth of beef jerky, or whatever kind of meat jerky you have.
Can do that, of course. Yosnip, you're there?
5 gold.
Would you also happen to have like a movable grill, something that could be put over a fire?
Sure, yeah. We've got a. I think we have one.
Like
Don't get
Spit
used to
or
often,
something?
but something like that. I'll take a look. Disappears. About 5 minutes later, comes
Haven't
back
seen
with
you eat that much beef jerky, Faye.
it's not for me. I don't want to be on that thing's bad side.
a large rolled up in a sack of some kind, what appears to be tarp, with some cording around it. Looks like it'd be used to tie it up with. And then kind of like a 4-pronged made of metal sort of grill looking thing that if you sat in the ground it could stand over a fire. You could put like a little pan on it or an animal if you wanted to roast it. Not huge, you know.
And if you don't mind, I'll double her order of jerky as well.
All right.
Motherfuckers.
Any particular flavors you like?
I don't think it cares.
It.
Yeah.
That's not to ask.
Fair enough. Grabs a few pouches, throws it up. All told, 14 gold, 7 silver.
I got it.
No, you don't.
I
Put
do.
the 15 gold on the table.
Roll an initiative check, both of you, if you want to fight over it.
Yeah. 17.
9.
Ah!
Ooh!
I leave
Faye
the
wins.
gold.
Ho ho!
You what?
I leave the gold.
That's
Oh, that belongs to her. I grab this stuff and start walking out.
Anything cool?
well, I mean, suppose it depends on what your definition of cool is.
Unique? Something that I could use this for?
Unique. Well, do you like outdoorsy things, camping and stuff?
Sure. Me, no. Them, yes.
You got a place to sleep?
We got some tents.
Well, if you ever get somewhere where being sheltered isn't as important as being basked in the beauty, I've got a couple triple-decker hammocks.
Yeah, let's get 2 of those.
All right.
Yeah. I'll pay whatever.
Brings out these like large bundled up packs that look like they're very fully stuffed with something material. Puts them both up on the counter. That'll sleep 6. Get him set up right. Don't get him set up wrong though.
I have much more technically skilled folks in my group. I will leave it to them. Does this cover it? Do I owe you more?
No, that's actually he puts 3 gold back towards you.
I'll pick up the hammocks and say thank you.
Don't pick up the money. Okay. Oh boy, good tippers. These tall folk. Need more of them around. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. You guys head back.
Handing 2 pieces of jerky to Lucy.
Okay.
I come up with
There's
these.
an endless supply of jerky going into your owlbear,
She
Edwin.
doesn't need a constant stream of of jerky.
Insight
She's...
check.
Roll an insight check.
On who?
11.
On the DM. As far as you can tell, it seems like Edwin understands how this thing works to enough of a degree that it actually maybe doesn't need to eat. However, you also, with your insight check of 11, can tell that the animal seems to enjoy it. So do
That's all
with
I
that
need.
what you will.
All that matters.
There's one animal that likes me. That's all I need.
Fact!
Oh
Okay.
boy,
You guys set out?
we do.
All right. You leave Raygrove. Oh, before you leave Raygrove, Solomon gives you a full rundown of how to get back to where you were, and then the likely best path from there towards the mountains themselves, which is where you had planned on going, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He had told you this before and reminds you again, he hasn't gone that far often, as in not for years, and so it's a little iffy on the exacts from then on, but getting to the place you were at should be relatively doable.
Also grab the inert circuit or circlet.
Yes, and he brings that to you.
Got it.
And you guys set out. So, no survival checks needed for the first couple days to get back to where you guys were, thanks to Solomon's guide. Is there anything that you guys want to do over these couple days, pending any nonsense that may occur outside of your decisions?
Yes.
Okay.
Eclipse.
Yeah.
When you're done.
No,
No,
I'll
you
wait
can-
for you.
Yeah.
I know you had some doubts as to the letter that you received from your father. I may have a way to contact him if you can tell me enough about him. Well, we know it's him, and I might be able to get a bit better read on him if you'd ever like to do that. It's not may. I have a way. It's just whether or not it will work.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can later. We should
Yeah.
save that. Yeah.
When you're ready.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. That'd probably be a good idea.
Age, when you said you had something as well?
Yeah, I think pretty early on into the travel, as we're kind of going along, gonna kind of drag Faye to the back of the group. You good?
I don't know.
You don't?
Your dream was a lot better than mine.
Matter of perspective, I think, but you really shaken.
Have you ever had recurring dreams? Where you see, you're worried about something and you see a manifestation of that worry several days or, several times.
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course in my line of work.
Yeah, well, this was kind of a crescendo for me in regards to that recurring dream, and it's struck a nerve based on some things we've seen recently. And I don't know where it's come from. I don't know where I come from, and I don't know if they're related.
Let's see. do you want to know?
Yeah, I do. I don't like being in the dark about things. I don't like not knowing things. I don't know what it's going to take to get there. I'm willing to do the footwork. That's what I've been doing for the last year. But it's never been my first priority. It's just if I hear a lead on something, I'll snag it and see where it takes me. But I'm not going to derail myself entirely just to do that. But this is kind of feeling like like I'm being derailed, not by choice. I just can't get it out of my head. I'm not really making eye contact with you. Or anyone for that matter.
Well, whatever it is, whatever's got you in the stranglehold, it's not stronger than us. That's for damn sure. So you just know that whatever this thing is, we're gonna kick its ass, alright?
Yeah. I'll like make a muscle. Like a little piece of spaghetti.
Could use some work.
Yeah.
Maybe you could join me for workouts in the morning, you know?
No.
No? You
No.
sure?
Mm-hmm.
What? You're lost.
No. I don't do that. I'll like grab the flute and do a couple like little bicep curls with the flute, and
Hey.
this is about what you get.
Honestly, step in the right direction. You'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Thanks.
You got it.
We got it.
You are muted.
Anything else from anybody else over those first couple days?
I have a curiosity that I would like to quench.
Okay.
There's lightning parts, like paths that we've encountered on this way back, right?
Like trails.
Just trails of light.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, and you will see a couple. Yeah, as you travel.
Brian's just gonna have a curiosity in her, and she's gonna maybe when they're like taking a short rest, one of the time when we're like near a patch, she's going to focus really hard on that pouch, and I will cast plant growth as an action to see if that grows back from the blight or if it does not.
Okay, please hold briefly.
I think casting for 8 hours does something a lot different than the one action one does.
Uh-huh. Roll a d20 and add your spell casting modifier. Yep.
Oh, okay. 18.
18. You see what is completely wilted over and black slightly stiffen. You see some movement to it, but beyond that, nothing.
Okay. That's my own thoughts. But other than that, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Yasnip Eclipse, anything?
You said this is multiple days, right?
Yes.
I am going to slip away briefly one of the nights.
Okay.
Far enough away to where I feel comfortable. Take out my backpack, start going through it, checking everything. And do a little bit of inventory management.
Okay.
If any of the nights are nice, I would break out the hammocks for everybody. And what I'll do as we stop, in case it is raining any of the nights, is I will try to find some trees and string the tarp up.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of say, like, Lucy, you don't fit in a tent, but I thought you might appreciate this.
She pads around under it, pushes some things out of the way, and plops down.
Brightwing is. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead.
Okay. Brightwing is so excited by the hammock. She immediately just like and she goes, This is what I slept in back home. And so she's very excited to have something close to home.
The one thing that you do notice is different about these is there are some additional lashings that allow you to pull. So normally the hammock's like between the two trees and then you sleep in the hammock. There's some additional lashings that attach to certain parts of each of the hammocks that allows you to attach them to other trees perpendicular to pull each of the hammocks slightly so that they're not all directly on top of each other and everyone has a view of the stars.
Oh.
So you guys are able to set. I would say the first night would probably be the best night for this. For one thing, it's closer to Raygrove, which means it should be a little bit safer based off what you've experienced so far. And for another, it is a relatively beautiful night, and you find a somewhat cleared out area, which is pretty rare, where you can actually see some stars. Set up the hammocks. Have a unique night that night. If somebody could, for the first 2 days... Oh, yes.
With us sitting outside and her in her hammock and us looking at the stars, I think it makes her really think of home. And I would also like to cast Sending.
Oh!
Yeah.
Whoa! Okay.
Oh, hell.
And so I think she's probably in the top bunk looking at the stars. And I don't think anyone's watching her, but she just takes a small feather off of it and brushes it and then just sort of whistles into it first and then starts speaking. And I'll send it to my father.
Okay.
For you. And she'll go, Baba, I just wanted to let you know I'm okay. And the wilds are protecting me and have granted me a great gift. Tell Mama I love her. And sends it off. And it just kind of, the wind, I think, takes it out of her hand. And it's just off in a second.
Okay. All right. You wait a few moments. My child, it is very good to hear from you. It has been a while. I hope you are safe. Your mother is doing well. She misses you. I miss you also. Come visit.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Okay. I need one person for each day to roll a single perception check, please. Different people for each day.
How many days?
Oh,
2 days.
I'll take a day. It'll go great because I don't have good perception.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just kidding, I do.
I got a 17.
Okay.
24.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Brightwing. Towards the end of the second day, you get it's not even a particularly a sound or a smell or a sight. It's a little bit of just a feeling, and then that feeling perks you up a little bit to begin looking a little bit more. The feeling of being watched or followed. And I would say on the second night, as you're keeping watch, one of your watches, you think you see distantly some shadows move, a brief glint of yellow, and then it's gone.
Yes.
There is something out there.
Do I see anything?
Roll a perception check.
17.
You do not. You see dark wetlands. Whether that's because whatever she saw is not there anymore, or because it is and you can't see it, you're not sure. But you don't see anything at the moment.
This is 2 days in. Is this proximity?
Second night.
About how far are we past where the blightlings had attacked us before?
You would be in a pretty similar area,
Okay.
actually.
Is everybody else awake?
No. Brightwing was keeping watch. She woke you up.
I'm a shape change.
Okay. Into...
Molly.
Oh! Okay.
I do?
Molly. Little Molly,
it's-
not...
The redhead.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Molly.
I'm
Okay.
going to just look around and scan again just for a brief moment.
Okay.
You can turn into children?
Just kind of look at her and smile.
You do not see anything.
I'm going to...
Megan, if you're talking to us, you're muted.
I was just saying, like, the visuals and the audio of, like, a small child with a grown man's voice.
Oh, yes.
That's the thing. I don't sound like myself. The voice changes. But Molly never talks, so I don't know what to imitate.
It's very
True.
Scottish, right? It was Scottish
Yes.
little girl.
Yep.
From when I talked to her.
I'm going to walk very slightly outside of the camp
Okay.
and ready an
how
action to turn
far?
invisible.
Okay. How far?
About 45 feet.
Okay. Head out. Stand for a while. Brightwing, you keep a close eye on him, I assume. Nothing. See nothing, hear nothing.
Shift back.
Okay.
Worth a shot again, I guess.
If they were looking for her before, I could see your logic there.
Oh, I'm not worried about them seeing.
Who see? The blightlings.
Mm.
But you're worried about them seeing.
It's a protection.
I know your family means much to you, and that is why. But I think they are trustworthy.
Can't be sure yet.
Well, I won't say anything.
Even if they ask.
It is not my secret to tell.
Insight check.
Okay, roll an insight
Oh,
check.
it's just like you.
10. Not very insightful.
Do I roll anything?
Yeah. Persuasion or deception.
Persuasion. Both are dismal. I rolled an 8 for persuasion.
Okay. And you rolled a 10?
I rolled
Jasmine?
a 10.
Okay. If he just got like the tiniest hint of something off of you, Brightwing, what would it be?
I would say you would get that she truly doesn't mean that. It's your secret, it's not hers to tell. But I think you would also know that she's not going to say anything, but she's also uncomfortable keeping a secret.
Okay.
One last look over the shoulder and then go back to the camp.
Dark, shadowed wetlands.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
I'll finish the watch awake with her.
Okay.
Faye has this capability as well, but if you ever want to talk to your family, I could message them if you would like to say hello. They might have a bit more, I don't know how you say, performance with it. I don't have a very good tongue, so to speak.
Thank you. I'll keep it in mind, but for my sake, sometimes no news is the best news.
That is true.
Okay. Third day. Now you are getting beyond the guidance, the more specific guidance of Solomon. So I need someone to roll a survival check, please.
I got it. Got it, you guys.
Yeah.
Plus 0. Let's go! 12.
Oh.
12. Okay. You continue moving in the direction that you were guided to. Brightwing. Middle of the day, you hear like a crunch crack of some dead branch or something a ways behind you all.
Shh. Open my ears and turn around to see if I can hear or see anything.
Okay. Roll a perception check. An active perception check now that you're looking.
Yeah. 14.
14. You don't see movement. You do not see any shapes beyond the wetlands.
I don't see anything, but I don't trust it. I heard something.
Lucy smell well.
You know, actually, yes. Very well.
I'm sorry, Lucy. I should probably talk to you directly. I apologize. It's just a bit weird for me.
Yeah, she's alright. It's a weird adjustment for everybody. Hey, Luce. We're a little suspicious of the place. Give it a little sniff, see if you can find anything a little suspicious.
She gives a perimeter walk, sniffing as she goes. Remind me, can she communicate things to you telepathically?
No. It's not find familiar. So
No, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
No, okay. You can communicate with it telepathically within 1 mile, but it cannot communicate with you. Okay.
Right.
So, maybe 3/4 of the way around the check, she stops.
Where does it go?
Looking kind of behind you and east. Northeast.
Okay. Eyes behind us, guys.
Walks back to you. Sits down.
Anything that we should be worried about? Rum. Back around that area, you know. She's got something. Not sure what. So, what do we want to do?
I mean, do we know what it is that she's got? It could be... I mean, do you trust her to seek out specifically what you're looking for when she's never had that smell before?
Sure, what we're looking for. Lucy, is it like a creature, or is it something else? Creature? Yeah. Something's following us.
But it's not an animal, so
It is an animal?
She like cocks her head, looks contemplative for a second, and then raises up a clawed front paw claw, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
And bats at the air.
scary?
Definitely not something friendly. Yeah.
Can I cast Speak with Animals?
You can, yes. Do you want
She an
to?
animal?
Matt, I swear to fucking God,
does
if
it
you
work?
ruin my
I am
owlbear...
so surprised this didn't happen when you first introduced it, by the way.
Do you want to cast Speak with Animals, Brightwing?
I will.
Okay.
Give her a voice.
You cast Speak with Animals.
Don't you dare ruin her.
Does it not work?
Kick your
What are you
ass.
saying?
I know you're able to understand me. I'll just speak in common because.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if you can understand me more now. I might be able to understand you. Does it work?
You get the sense that apparently she's not a beast.
It does not work. I apologize.
Alright. Well, some scary creature is following us. Do we want to go investigate it, or are we going to try and outrun this thing?
They won't be able to surprise us. So we could try to run.
It's also probably watching us have this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to take a look back. Just scan the
Might
area.
as well just deal with it.
Yeah, I'd rather know that we're not being followed.
Try and clock its location. You know.
Yeah. Roll a perception check.
14.
You don't see anything. No creatures at the moment.
Is it
Looking in that
really
direction.
muddy in this area?
Invisible.
It is largely muddy, marshy everywhere. So parts of it, yes. Parts of where you are.
Around where we are? I said that loud. Sorry. Could I
Lucy.
cast my druid craft
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of make a circle around us a
Okay.
couple times just to see if there's any death coming towards us from a certain direction?
Okay. You create a small plant, of some kind, and circumvent the group. Nothing happens to the plant.
Lucy. Paw up for close, paw down for far.
Pushes both of her claws into the ground.
Okay, I think we're probably alright. We just need to keep our eyes on our rear here. What, Megan? What? What do you want to say? What is it you want to say? Come on. We're all here. We're all friends.
Nope.
Honestly.
We keep moving then.
I'll think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could keep this out to see if they are getting closer. They do get invisible, right?
Not a bad idea.
Would everyone like one? So they could all hold one and see if it gets...
Sure.
What imagery?
I'll go around and they'll all have a little bracelet with a flower that grows around them.
Facts.
Nice.
Okay. And you guys push forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before continuing, would you guys want to take a small break now and go for another 45 minutes? Or would you rather come to a close here soon? Your call. Because I know some people have some early mornings.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we
Just
just.
soon we can
I
just
think-
keep going.
Yeah, I think we just skip the break and just
Yeah.
Okay.
end soonish.
All right. Okay. You guys push through, push on for the rest of this day. I will have you roll a group perception check for the watch. If you could.
Savages.
You do get advantage.
Does Lucy get to roll?
Yeah, Lucy can roll.
Sweet, because I rolled a 10.
Me
which is
too.
not great. But Lucy rolled an 8, so that's even worse.
Wow! Did anybody roll well?
14.
26.
Okay.
That's-
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well,
Yep.
there it
Yep.
is.
Yep. Well, once again, much like the previous night, Brightwing, on your watch, you at one point hear what sounds like the padding of multiple creatures through wetland marsh a ways away. Train your eyes that direction. See a couple shadows move and then disappear. With a 26,
Yeah.
they seem it's hard to tell for sure because of how far away you are, but they seem larger than blightlings by potentially a good amount.
Oh. Could they be trolls?
How far away did you say? I'm sorry.
A ways. I didn't say a
Okay.
specific number of feet, but it seemed like a decent ways. Probably a couple hundred, if you had to guess.
Are they coming our direction? Did I hear? Or are they
No.
just passing by?
They seem to be moving, circumventing, moving parallel. You're not entirely sure.
Do we have a fire?
That's up to you guys. Do you typically make a fire at night?
Yeah.
I would have assumed
Probably,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll control flames and snuff it out,
so. Okay.
and then just keep watch to make sure it doesn't come closer. If it does, I'll wake up my friends. But at the moment, I'm just trying to let them pass by.
Okay. Okay. You listen, pay attention carefully. Couple hours more of your watch go by. Nothing. And eventually, the morning comes. Still nothing.
There was something out there, but I do not think it was blightlings. It was much larger, but it seemed to leave us alone, or it didn't know we were there.
Do we hear animals, frogs, crickets, anything?
Yeah. Where you are right now, you hear it's not super strong. It's not like the fringes or near Raygrove, where it's much more apparent and dense, but you hear a sound every now and again of a natural creature. Owl, crow, some frogs.
I mean, the most we can do is just keep an eye out.
Yes. I fear it might be another undead creature, or maybe a troll. But I do not know.
Please let it not be trolls again.
Oh, that wasn't so bad.
Speak for yourself.
I'll just kind of like tap Eclipse on the shoulder.
Anyway.
Let's, just head on a swivel, and we'll just kind of keep things going.
Okay. All right. You guys continue heading south. You, as this day progresses, begin to see the mountains come into much clearer and closer focus. Seems like you're getting very close. And little after midday, maybe 3 in the afternoon, you come out of a stretch of wetlands and see the mountains, pretty much the entirety of them in front of you. There's kind of more open marsh here. There's still trees, roots and shrubs and things, but it's much more open, and that dense canopy from most of the wetlands is gone, so you can see upwards. And you see the mountains, and it seems maybe hour or two towards the foothills. Guys, keep going.
Are there any traces of what we were trying to follow? Like, is there any indication that we're heading in the right direction?
Like
Besides the
trails,
fact that we were here before?
eyeballs, anything like that?
Yeah, throughout the entirety of this 4-day now journey, you have seen blightling trails now and again, very similar to when you were tracking with Solomon. Some that disappear into bodies of water. You see tracks of various creatures. You have not seen any signs of undeath like you had seen a couple times earlier. But you do see here and there signs of blightlings. And there is maybe a slight uptick in the density of that as you go along. Not incredibly noticeably, but slight uptick as you get closer to the mountains. guys head forward.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for any like caves or anything, you know.
Okay. You walk for another hour or two, hour and a half, and you are beginning to get close to the foothills, and you see like large outcroppings of rock and hill that come up off the mountains. The topography here becomes much more layered than it was in the mostly flat marshlands. And as you get closer to one of these kind of large curved outcroppings of rock and hill, Brightwing, you begin to smell something on the air with your passive perception. Like, oddly, like burning herbs. Like maybe what your people would often use. That kind of even almost patchouli-ish smell a little bit. Seems to be coming from somewhere in the vicinity of these foothills.
I look at Lucy.
Mm.
Do you smell that too?
Beef
There
jerky.
is a burning, not a like regular. This is like herbs and spices, incense sort of smell on the air.
Ah. She opens her mouth and you see the burn, the ember inside.
That suggests that there is someone here.
Okay. Lucy, close or far? Close. Okay. Let's really keep our eyes peeled, because we are no longer alert.
Are we trudging in, or are we trying to gather information?
Question. I feel like they might both be one and the same. So maybe just walk in, see what we can figure out.
Okay, you head forward. Okay. You guys begin making your way towards these outcroppings, kind of between hills, over this kind of more rolling topography in these foothills of the mountains. And eventually you come around what appears to be like a large hooked outcropping of mountain rock that's sort of curved outwards towards you. Come around it and see, especially age when you would see this, given what you've been looking for. You see a clearing kind of nestled into the inside of this rocky outcropping. And in the wall of it, what seems to be a patch kind of covered over with flora, mosses, draping vines. They don't stand out to, they wouldn't stand out to a untrained eye, but it looks a little bit created. Doesn't look entirely natural. But that is kind of the brief sight you see of that outcropping before your attention is drawn to a much more notable sight. At the other side of this clearing, kind of very up against this rock outcropping wall, near that sort of hole, you see a small bowl of some kind, it looks like. Very small from this distance, but you can see the smoke rising from it. And the smell is quite strong. Brightwing, you can certainly tell, and it seems to be coming from this direction. And maybe 10 feet away from that, you see a low, flat rock near the base of this outcropping. And seated on the rock, you see a slender figure. Humanoid. Bless you, I think. Wearing what look to be, and this would primarily be Brightwing that can make these details out. Very worn, studded leathers that seem to be either stripped of or long faded color, so that they're almost a dark gray, wrapped around in a number of places with cloth that almost seem to be holding all of it together. It looks worn and old. And they are seated cross-legged. I don't know why I just sat that way because you can't see my legs.
Yeah,
But seated cross-legged with a blade across their lap. And their hands resting palm up on either side of the blade. And you see very pale, but pretty dirty skin. Long silvery white hair that's kind of held in a loose ponytail. Some free-flowing bits of hair on either side. And most notably, a black cloth tied over the eyes, blindfolding this figure. And that is where we will pick up next session.
Is that the guest star?
I don't know. Couldn't be known at this given time. It is a figure.
It is an individual.
Indeed.
In the woods. In the mountain woods.
Thank you everybody for powering through all of the things that happened, which there was a bunch of, without a break, so that we could get through a lot and still have a relatively early night. Favorite moments before all the sleepyheads go to bed?
I have a bear.
Bear!
Yeah, I
There.
think Lucy do be the highlight. Yeah.
I love Lucy.
There it is.
I have one animal that kind of likes me, but isn't actually an animal, so does it really count?
Maybe that's why.
Get dumpstered.
Yep, hard to
That
know.
works, so can't confirm, not an animal.
It is indeed not a beast.
I like the talk with Faye.
That was probably one of my favorites.
Oh, I also enjoyed the talk with that you two had, but for totally different reasons.
Oh no!
I should not have looked. I should not have looked.
I
at
should.
that.
I shouldn't either. I looked down for just a second, and I was like,
Yeah, that was an oopsie on my part. I apologize.
Everyone was laughing, and I was like,
Yeah.
I liked your talk. I liked talking to my family. I think, like, for having.
Who the frick is your brother? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's also a thing that
That's
just
what got
like,
you?
happened.
Y'all don't know.
Just so much going on. Oh my gosh.
I can say, as an addendum to that, holy mackerel sending. Wow. What a spell for a DM to deal
I
with.
warned you.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate your
I gave
warnings.
you a heads up in advance. I won't do
You know
it
who
every
didn't
time.
give me a warning? Leah.
Ah!
Yep. So this is going to be, I'm going to have to have all
trying to
my
be
notes
nice
on
and,
all
like,
my
to be
NPCs
fair,
on hand at all
good.
times.
To be fair, I don't know a lot of people. So it's
Nope.
Anyone and everyone is now free game.
Yep.
It's true.
And I know a lot of people.
Also, by the way, just from a housekeeping standpoint, because I know we didn't take very official nights, everybody will have had a long rest before what's happening now. So if anybody wants to
Good.
hit that.
Okay.
We had multiple
Alright.
days of travel, so yeah.
Yes, yeah, and nothing has happened of import on this one. So, I think that's everything. Everybody? No, nothing else? All right.
My dream was great. I don't know about anyone else's dream.
You guys have dreams?
Follow your dreams, guys.
Don't follow Faye's dream.
The No Dream Club over here.
Yep.
Are we still level 4?
No,
No.
we've
You all still leveled up.
Well,
We
I
leveled first because we got all the sleep, Brian.
Yes,
Oh,
that is.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
All we did was sleep.
That
All
was
right.
just 2 weeks ago.
True. We will pick up there with this figure next session, in session 21. Ha-ha! Aanthara will be able to drink.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
All right. Until then, thank you all. See ya. Adios.
Bye.